You know, Glenna, to have an amazing pumpkin patch like what you have, I know that in addition to planting that small seed, you also have to do things to kind of keep different things from destroying that giant pumpkin. What are some of the things that you do to make that possible?
You are exactly right. I've often said that growing the pumpkins is like running an obstacle course. There are so many forces that work against you. You've got the insects, you've got disease, you've got the forces of nature with the weather, storms, hail, wind can do a terrible number and flip your vines. So you have to be thinking ahead all the time of what could happen, and you try to prevent it. My first concern of threats is when I plant the seedlings. Pumpkin plants do not like the cold. Since the seedlings go in the ground at the end of April or early May, there's still danger of the very low temperatures and even frost. I put a hut made of construction styrofoam around the plant with a sheet of styrofoam over the top. The huts will protect from critters, storms of heavy rain and wind, and the cold evening temperatures. When it's really cold, I put a candle inside. The temperature in the morning might be 40 degrees, but inside the hut it might be 75 degrees.
Wow.
My small plants I cover with a little clothes basket, and this will protect them from the critters and from the wind, heavy rains, and also from direct hot sun that might shine down and try to burn them. We always have to watch out for critters destroying the garden. Deer and groundhogs will eat the leaves and gnaw on the pumpkins. Rabbits will eat the leaves. Mice will burrow under the pumpkin and make a nest and possibly chew a hole in the pumpkin, which will cause it to rot. And so the rubber snakes around hopefully will keep the mice away. One year we had crows all over the garden, shredding the leaves, trying to gnaw on the pumpkins, and I bought bobblehead owls, which you can see a few around the patch, and that seemed to keep those crows away. Another big threat in the garden is disease. Some diseases are soil-borne. They will rot the roots and the vines. Some are airborne, and they will affect the leaves. The key word is prevention. Once a disease starts, it is almost impossible to get it under control. A very annoying disease is powdery mildew.
Glenna, what about the insects that you have to deal with here in the pumpkin patch?
There are a few specific insects that I really have to watch out for on the pumpkin plants. First is a squash vine borer. This is a type of moth that will lay eggs on the vines. They will lay their larvae in there if they can, and then start to rot the vines. Some of the insects harbor bacteria, and if you get an insect that has the bacteria, one chomp on one leaf can put that virus into your plant, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Can do your plant in sometimes overnight. Sometimes it takes a longer progression, but it can do. There's 3 different insects that are really bad for pumpkins, so you have to watch for those. One measure I try is using traps to catch the moths. Also, I put dirt over the vines, somewhat burying them. This way, the moths cannot lay the eggs on the vines.
So Glenna, you know, in this great patch, you're going to have a whole variety of weeds that are going to grow up in that. How do you keep that from choking off the plant?
The thing about weeds, you need to get them when they are really little. Then it is an easy job. You've got to remember that little weeds turn into big weeds. A 1-inch high weed looks pretty innocent, but you better get it right away. When that weed gets bigger, the roots get bigger, and when you try to pull it out, then you're also going to disturb the roots from the pumpkin plant. The weeds will take nutrients out of the soil away from your pumpkin plant. The weeds will stop the airflow from flowing through, which you need that to help prevent disease. So you don't want the weeds in there, so get them when they're little. I use a type of hoe called a stirrup hoe. It looks like the stirrup on a horse saddle, and I have one for every member of the family, so everyone gets to come and get after those 1-inch weeds.
Glenna has shown us that it takes hard work combined with preparation to help make this garden grow these amazing pumpkins. I believe that when we combine faithfulness to our Lord with a sense of using the creative gifts that God provides for us, and then a sense of trusting in the Spirit, then we can make our own corner of God's garden grow in our lives. Here at Church of the Lakes, we are committed to that mission to help us to know Christ and to make Christ known through our service to a world that needs Jesus Christ. That would include sponsoring a week-long summer camp for 66 children in the foster care network to experience the joy of Jesus in Bible studies, activities, and the interaction with an amazing team of servants. I invite all of you to combine faithfulness to the Lord with generous stewardship of our gifts, and then a willingness to passionately serve the wider world to make an awesome difference in the kingdom. We read in Ephesians 3, God can do anything you know, far more than you could ever imagine or guess or request in your wildest dreams. He does it not by pushing us around, but by working within us, His Spirit deeply and gently within us.